Welcome, Impactful Parents. It's time for the Impactful Parenting Podcast, where I give you parenting tips and resources to make you a more impactful parent to your school-age child. I am your host, Christina Campos. Welcome, Impactful Parents. Today, we're going to be talking about building a connection with a child when you think that you've tried everything. Hello, my name is Christina Campos. I'm founder of The Impactful Parent, and I help parents of school-age children turn their chaos into connection with their adolescent. I offer parent education videos every week, online courses, and coaching. And if that wasn't enough, I bring experts in on other fields onto the Impactful Parent stage to teach you even more. And today I have a special guest. Her name is Nicole Shir. And Nicole Shir has an educational background in conflict resolution and an MS in psychology. She developed a model that assists people in discovering their personality and connect with kids through a personality communication model. I'm excited to have Nicole here to teach us a little bit about her personality communication model and how we can implement that to foster a better relationship with the people that we love the most, which are our children. So thank you for being here, Nicole.
I'm hoping that you love your children the most.
Right? I hope so too.
We kind of wonder, am I really loving them the most right now? Especially when we start getting to those teenage years, we start to go, used to love you the most, when you were around 8, 6, when you weren't like trying to push those boundaries.
But those are the years that we want to really hone in, and maybe it's more like intentionally foster a relationship with our adolescents. And I'm really excited to hear, how did you come up with the needs languages?
We need both love and belonging. So there's a difference between the two. And I'm actually putting that in my new book around dark personalities. There's a difference. Love is Gary Chapman's books, which are fabulous. I encourage parents to read them. Learn your kids' love languages. Huge. This is not about love languages. I'm going to tell you that right now. This is about belonging. This whole thing, what we're talking about here in personality is belonging. You are bringing your person. That's different than love. If you don't teach your kids how to belong in a healthy way, you don't foster belonging for them in a healthy way, they're going to struggle as adults. We all need belonging. That's on Maslow's hierarchy of needs, the third one on there. And so that's how we started realizing it. And people, if you look at our generations now, they're struggling with belonging. And part of it has to do with, when you look at the traditionalists, they had like 16 billion kids. Well, you're going to have more belonging because you're going to be able to choose who you hang out with in your family. You're all together all the time. And when you get older and you have 1, maybe 2 kids, you're at work all the time, it's harder to foster that belonging. How do you create that? COVID happened. What do you do with the school? So how do we start fostering that within not only ourselves and not forget that, but for our kids, because it's a necessity.
And tell me a little bit more about what it is exactly. Are there 5, like Gary Chapman's 5 love languages, or are there more? 6.
So there's 6.
Okay.
So so this is similar to like Myers-Briggs and Enneagrams, except the difference between my Myers-Briggs and Enneagrams, which are popular, that's why I use them. Mm-hmm. They're about personality, but they don't really foster going into how do you communicate. They really talk about me. Well, there's a problem with me. If you just focus on me, you're going to forget about we. So you gotta play a little bit with this. So we got to have both. It's great to know yourself, but if you don't know the other person, you're going to be alone. So the reason we went back to Hippocrates and we really simplified it. Hippocrates is the forefather of pretty much every personality model out there. And instead of making it 4, we said, okay, there's 4 basic types that personality. So that's how we kind of did it. We went back to Hippocrates, took their 4 types and used more modern day language that people could really relate to.
Specifically with, of course, all our children, but with adolescents, those are the ones that we tend to have difficulty really connecting with. So I'm hearing you say, we can read your book, learn more about how these personality traits really, are weaved in. But then how long does it take to figure out which one's my kid versus this other kid and, all that stuff?
It's pretty easy. I'm going to tell you. So there's 4 types. We're 2 out of the 4. And I'll briefly tell you, and I've included a chart, super easy. You have your right kid. They're either about right, wrong, good, bad, wanting the best. You have your value kid. These are like your Jungle Book kids that are, and again, we're 2 out of the 4, and make a little difference. They're like, I can't feeling everything is cost me or benefit me, cost me or benefit me. Always feeling. They're a little more slower paced because they're trying to figure it out. And then you have your control child. They're about the environment. They need their environment a certain way everywhere they go. And then you have your important child. They're the ones that get noticed. They're very about the image. They usually like their hair a little bit bigger. They'll do something to get noticed everywhere they go. They have to have a prize. If you give them a task and they don't get a prize, they're not interested. And so when we're 2 out of the 4, we create a different type of dynamic. Your RV, which we like to call right value, are going to typically be a little more of your challengers. And they're going to like a challenge. They think to feel to think. And so depending on the environment they grow up in, it's going to depend on the challenge they want. So they can be really a lot of fun. They got a lot of humor a lot of times, but they can be really challenging at times. You have your RC. Those are going to be more your dominant personalities, more of your flowers. These are more prominent people in your society. So you're going to be unhealthy, you're going to be like your Putins. Healthy, you're going to be like your Michelle Obamas. Very big on community. And they're more dominant personality, more of your flowers. And if they accept themselves, they're amazing. Now, what's interesting is they can be more right, which is going to be a little more sharper, which is they're going to want the best, or they can be more control, which is maybe going to be a little more reserved, more about their environment, more observant, or they can be the combo of both. Sometimes we'll show one very predominant. Sometimes we'll show both very predominant, and sometimes, but we're speaking a language along these lines. Now, again, we all have, people go, well, am I all 4? Well, if you were all 4, you wouldn't need anybody. We carry all 4 because we're in a world. However, we're going to be predominantly 2 because that's how our giftings and our talents are going to be. You have your IRs. Those are your sellers. Those are people who are looking for the best prize. And they're going to have usually a little bigger hair, bigger smiles, be a little more charismatic. You can usually pick those people up pretty quickly. And so that's why we've done this pretty simple, in a way. So you kind of have an idea. I sat down with a parent once and her kids, 3 different boys, 3 different personalities. And she says, yeah, my middle one's the dominant one. I said, you need to make sure he has his environment. Don't mess with his environment. But you have to learn how to guide that so that he knows that even though he's the alpha male, he doesn't become toxic. He can become in a way where he knows how he can have his environment a certain way, but you're not letting him have, like if he's going to be in the kitchen, how do you run a kitchen in a way that you can run it as a manager, but you're not being you're being safe. You're being healthy in that way. You're not giving it to him at 5 years old, but you're having him still at the same time, maybe at 5, come in and how would you arrange this kitchen in a safe manner? But if you were cooking at 13, okay, let's make sure we have all the things in that, and you monitor him a little bit, you kind of peek on him, but you give him more of that autonomy, but at the same time, not too much. It's that navigating and teaching him how to be a healthy dominant where he listens to a person, but then at the same time doesn't railroad them.
So does your book include those suggestions for parents, not just the test and how we can figure out which personality our children are, but does it also give those extra tidbits of, if you have this personality, or then this would be the best thing for that type of person?
It talks more stories, and in this one, it's talking more about relational, like how a child is going to see it, how to navigate in a relationship. Like, for example, I think I have one story in there about, if a child is wanting to, game out, apparently that's the word, game out, and they're wanting to see things differently, and you're saying, no, we got to go shopping, how your personality conflict. So, or, you're having chores and you're paying everyone, and the one's upset that they don't see that because they're not willing to do the work. And you're like, well, I'm giving you an allowance. they're needing a prize. They're needing to see it as a prize. So it's more about how that connection is going and why that person isn't processing it the way you're processing it. Or how come they're always embarrassing you in public? Because you're about your environment being a certain way and they're about the prize and you're not giving them a prize. And so they've got to figure out a way to get a prize because their subconscious mind is drawing attention to themselves so they can be a prize. kind of a thing. So they're more story based. And so it's talking about how to navigate the conflict to resolve it. And so it's more story based in what to do in these kinds of situations. What to do when your kid's the opposite of you, what to do when you're not in alignment. And there's two totally difference between not being in alignment and speaking the opposite language.
Last question to you is, let's say a parent dives deep into the book. They're excited to learn about their kid's personality, and then they just still have trouble connecting. I mean, they got the personality and they've read everything, but they're just still pulling out their hair. Now what?
So a lot of it is, okay, when we feel silenced within ourselves, we're going to act a certain way. So it's learning how to give yourself and the other person a voice. It's learning, how do I navigate that? And so some of the things that we do in the trainings that we are coming out with is asking questions that help you lead to those answers. So if you're saying, okay, I'm feeling silenced, is my child also feeling silenced? And having those crucial conversations when they're older. And you can have these at any age. My son at 3 years old could say the word consequences. That is a language. Is understanding what language resonates with them and what language resonates with you. You know, the word consequences is not going to resonate with me because I'm not a right person. I just don't speak right language. That's not a word resonating with me. And doesn't mean that I don't understand what it means. It's just not, it's not going to work with me as much. But if you say, I'm going to take your prize away, which is another way of saying consequences, oh, don't you dare, because that word's going to resonate with me. So what's happening is you're probably feeling silenced in that moment because you're not connecting and they're feeling silenced. So it's asking, okay, what language, where are we disconnecting? Now, alignment would be like where Biden and Trump are. That's a perfect example. They were both speaking right language. And their rights were not aligning. So Biden was seeing, okay, you're costing the country, and this isn't right. Trump was seeing it as the country needs a prize that is the best prize. And so their rights were not aligning. And so at that moment, it's finding out, okay, we're both seeing best differently. So we may not find an agreement in this path of finding what the best is. So you really have to question what is going on in this moment. And it's asking those questions that will lead you to those answers.
I'm excited for my parents to get this valuable resource, because anything that helps you connect with your child better, I am all about. And I hear you have a freebie for our audience. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
So what the freebie is it just basically tells you what the personalities are and defining it in a quick, easy manner. So you can start to question and figure out what your kid's language is on a basic level. And this is so quick and easy. I'm not kidding you. Once you get that idea, then you can start playing with that language. Like I said, my son at 3 years old could say the word consequences. Oh, what a smart boy. It's not that he was smart. Okay, he is smart. I'm not saying he wasn't smart. It was that word resonated with him. That was his language. So he could pick it up. And when you understand that, they could pick it up. Oh my gosh. Then you can start to play with it. And that's where this basic model comes from. Is now you go, oh, my child speaks prize language. Now I know what words can resonate with prize, or what words can resonate with cost versus benefit. What words can resonate. And that's where you can start having fun and playing with it.
And this book could be for parents of all ages. Is that correct?
It can. I actually talk about what happens when you're the opposite, when you don't align. Because my mom was the opposite of me. She speaks right control. I speak important value. And so that's so huge, because then you don't have your belonging. And that can be really painful. And we're finding a lot of parents don't know how to navigate that, or that happens. And one thing, just to let you know, we've kept all our books, because they're individual, they're small, very cheap. very reasonable, very easy, quick, easy read. The individual ones, we are putting them all together to come out with one. And we're planning on doing that this summer. So we have one for parents, we have one for romantic partnerships, we have one for dating, and we have one for the workplace. And this new one is going to have another section on the self, and then everything together. And then we should be coming out with dark personalities in the fall or winter of this next year. So they're really reasonable, like I think 99 cents or $1.99 for the ebook. And just so you could read it really quickly and get an idea.
And how long is the book?
I think they're about 50 pages each.
Okay, perfect. That is right up our alley because we are busy parents.
Exactly. And that's why we did it this way. It's not like we're making money off of it. We made it so that everybody could have access to this, because my heart is that everybody can have access to being able to communicate with their kids, because our heart really is to get people to be healthy. Because when you have your when you have your love and you have your belonging and you have healthiness, we're gonna have healthy kids. When we have healthy kids, we have healthy workplaces. When we have healthy workplaces, we have a healthy world. And when we have a healthy world, oh my gosh, we're thriving. Everybody who works together to have success, it makes our world more successful. And success creates flourishing. I mean, we don't want a bunch of dead trees out there. We want live trees. It creates oxygen. It creates more and more and more beauty. And that's really what we're wanting, is all of us to be healthy, work together to create a happy, healthy society. And that's why we did it this way.
I think that's amazing. So tell us, how do we get a hold of this book?
So you can go on Amazon to get it. If you just look up Nicole Shir, The Needs Languages Bring Balance and Belonging in Parenting, co-collaborator Elle Chapman. You can go on my website, theneedslanguages.com. I also have a YouTube channel that you can get a lot of stuff on there. It's all going to be about relationships, different aspects, the needs languages on YouTube. There's all sorts of ways to find me and find the book that way too.
I'd like to end off with one more thing. If you could just have my audience, they want to take away one thing that you feel is really important, that they can really gain value from purchasing your book, what would that be?
It's relational. By getting this, you'll start to understand that how connection works and how belonging works. And you'll get the difference between the love and belonging, and that you need both. You can start to see where you can align and where you don't align, and how to start to foster that, and how vital it is. And it's so quick and easy. I mean, if you want to dive deeper, it takes longer, but the basics are so quick and easy. And anybody can do it, and you already know. It's just going to get you in that awareness and move in that direction. This brings the awareness there so you can move there.
Well, thank you so much for being here, and especially for that freebie. I really appreciate you helping out our audience so that we can grow awesome adults. Yeah. Thank you for listening today. Remember to subscribe and share this podcast with a friend. And don't forget, the Impactful Parenting Podcast is an extension of the Impactful Parent community. Go to the Impactful Parent website and download the free Impactful Parent app so you don't miss a parenting tip that can help you and your family. Thanks for listening today. So go to theimpactfulparent.com and see you next episode.